Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking one of the absolute most powerful ideals in human history, equality. It's a concept literally written into our constitutions and championed by revolutionaries for centuries. Yet, right out of the gate, we face a massive, undeniable paradox. We're going to deconstruct exactly what equality actually means, why we strive for it so fiercely, and why it remains so incredibly elusive. So, think about this for a second. Almost every religion and political system on Earth preaches equality. So why is there so much inequality in the world? It's a brilliant Socratic hook straight from our source material. If practically everyone, across completely different faiths and political spectrums, accepts the ideal that all human beings are the creation of God, or at the very least share an equal inherent worth, why is our day-to-day reality so radically different? It's a profound, really uncomfortable tension that political theorists have wrestled with for centuries. I mean, all you have to do is step outside. In our modern world, and especially in countries like India, we're talking about luxury high-rises literally casting shadows over sprawling slums. We see schools with world-class, air-conditioned facilities right down the road from schools that lack even basic drinking water or a working toilet. We see this unbelievable waste of food in one place and actual starvation in another. The difference between the promises of our laws and the reality of our streets is just staggering. Let's hit you with a massive data gut punch to really grasp the scale of this globally. Think about this for a moment. Just 50 of the richest individuals in the entire world have a combined income greater than the poorest 400 million people. 50 people on one side of the scale, and 400 million on the other, and those 50 weigh more economically. It's wild. And the concentration of wealth gets even more intense when we look at the broader picture. The richest 10% of the world's population controls over half of all global income, a massive 54%. That leaves the remaining 90% of humanity to divide up what's left, less than half of the pie. Furthermore, the poorest 40% of the world's population receives just a tiny 5% of the global income. But hey, we have to remember, these inequalities go way, way beyond just money in a bank account. They very quickly become literal matters of life and death. For instance, the risk of dying from pregnancy-related causes is 1 in 18 in Nigeria. Now compare that to 1 in 8,700 in an advanced industrial country like Canada. And those same advanced industrial nations, they consume 10 times as much energy and 3 times as much water per capita as developing nations, all while generating the vast majority of global emissions. These aren't just statistics on a page. They dictate human survival based entirely on the lottery of where you just happen to be born. If we zoom in on a national level, the 2011 census data from India reveals an incredibly stark urban-rural divide. Let's look at basic amenities. 71% of urban households had tap water, compared to just 35% in rural areas. 87% of urban homes had a bathroom, versus just 45% of rural homes. This isn't just about who gets to buy a car, though for the record, that's 10% urban versus 2% rural. This is about fundamental living conditions being drastically unequal depending entirely on your zip code. So, facing all this grim reality, what are we actually trying to achieve? Let's define the goal. In political theory, equality is the moral and political ideal that all human beings have an equal worth. Basically, it means we all deserve equal consideration and respect simply because of our shared humanity, regardless of our color, gender, race, or nationality. It is the absolute bedrock foundation for concepts like universal human rights. And this definitely isn't some new age concept either. It has immense historical power behind it. Back in the 18th century, French revolutionaries famously used the rallying cry liberty, equality, and fraternity to successfully revolt against the landed feudal aristocracy and the monarchy. Fast forward to the 20th century, and it was the foundational demand of anti-colonial liberation struggles all across Asia and Africa. It's a concept that has quite literally reshaped the globe. Now, here is a really crucial distinction we need to make. Equality does not mean identical treatment in absolutely every single situation. Society requires a division of labor, right? We all accept that a prime minister or an army general has a special official rank and certain privileges to do their job, provided they aren't misusing them. That doesn't really violate our sense of equality. But a child born in a slum who is denied nutritious food or a good education through absolutely no fault of their own, that fundamentally, on a gut level, violates our intuitive sense of fairness. On the flip side, history shows us the absolute darkest side of making unacceptable distinctions. When people are treated differently simply because of their race, caste, or gender, it crosses a violent line. Just think of those horrific historical signs dictating where someone could drink water or eat based solely on their skin color. Distinctions exactly like this violently violate our understanding of equality because they outright deny basic human respect based on completely arbitrary physical characteristics. Section 1. Equality of opportunities, pursuing fairness. Okay, so if we can't accept deep injustice, how do we actually go about pursuing fairness? Well, we do it through equality of opportunity. Essentially, this means everyone gets the same basic rights to develop their skills and the freedom to pursue their own ambitions. Look, we all have different talents. Some people might become famous cricketers, others successful lawyers, and some might take completely different, quiet paths. Differences in career outcomes don't inherently make a society unequal. What does make it unequal is when people never even get to the starting line because they lack access to basic goods like education, healthcare, and safe housing that would allow them to compete in the first place. Section 2. Natural versus social inequalities. To really understand the roots of these issues, political theorists tend to split inequalities into two distinct buckets. First, we have natural inequalities. These are considered to be the ones that emerge from different inherent capabilities and talents that people are just born with, like, say, a natural aptitude for math or athletics. Traditionally, these were assumed to be pretty much unalterable. Social inequalities, on the other hand, are totally created by society. It's a consequence of unequal opportunities, like when intellectual work is valued vastly more than manual labor, or when certain groups are entirely shut out of jobs or actively exploited by others. But as you can probably guess, this whole natural versus social distinction gets incredibly messy in the real world. Imagine a boy confidently claiming that men are naturally superior to women, treating it as some unalterable biological fact. Then the girl sharply replies, "I get better marks than you in every subject, and I do the housework, so what exactly makes you superior?" It perfectly captures how easily the concept of natural inequality is weaponized to maintain totally unfair social hierarchies. And history is packed with the grave dangers of mislabeling social oppression as a quote-unquote natural inequality. For centuries, women were falsely described as the weaker sex, labeled timid and less intelligent, specifically to justify denying them equal rights. Colonial masters in Africa falsely considered Black people to be of lesser intelligence to rationalize the absolutely horrific institution of slavery. The pattern is clear. Oppressors almost always try to disguise their social exploitation as an unalterable law of nature. We know now, thanks to constant advances in science and society, that so much of what was once called a natural difference was, well, just plain prejudice. So I want you to look around your world today. Which inequalities are we currently writing off as just the way things are, that future generations will look back on as totally unacceptable oppression? Something to chew on, keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.